Welcome back to Movies TV Man, and welcome to Monday's edition of the DCU Daily. Today I want to talk about the Schumacher cut, and I want to apologise to everyone who supports that movement for not pushing the Schumacher cut a lot more. I've made very few Schumacher videos, maybe one or two Schumacher cut videos, and I'm sorry because I support the creative integrity of all directors. I'm a big fan of Joel Schumacher. He was an amazing, kind, generous man. He was a genius. He directed one of my best movies of all time, Phone Booth, starring Colin Farrell. By the way, I think Colin's performance in Phone Booth is much better than the overhyped Penguin performance everyone's having kittens about. But anyway, I'm a big supporter of director's cuts. I was one of the many DC fans and Snyderverse stans who pushed for the release of the Snyder Cut on this very channel, and look at what we got. We got one of the best DC movies, no, scratch that, one of the best movies ever made, because we took the side of the creative integrity of a director. I am an amateur writer, actor, and director. I'm writing 3 movies: Saving Judy Garland, Saving Norma Jean, and a silent movie called Human Nature, about the human race invading a planet from outside the Earth's core, outside of our solar system, and it would have no dialogue, no talking at all. It would have this kind of Hans Zimmer loud kind of score on it. And I also performed my original plays with my Amateur Dramatic Society here in Cyprus, in my theatre here in Ayia Napa. So that's who I am. So I'm very, very busy, but I've also been busy focusing my content here on my platform on Superman and the DCU, which I think is quite right. You'd all agree that's the right thing to do. I'm a DC fan after all, but I do feel guilty that I haven't done more videos about the Schumacher cut. I've been trying to push a release of the Superman Returns director's cut for years, and I know that Bryan Singer is hiding, lives in Israel, nudge nudge, wink wink, but I've been trying to make that happen because I hate the fact that they cut the Return to Krypton sequence from that movie. It was absolutely outrageous, and the fact that we didn't see Lex Luthor meeting with an astronomer to lie to Superman to get him away from that parole hearing so he could go to the remains of Krypton, so he would be distracted. That was an important narrative. I want to see the Superman Returns director's cut. And I love the theatrical cut of Batman Forever. And it was very, very, very sad to lose Val Kilmer. He was an excellent Bruce Wayne, and he was an excellent Batman. I love that movie, and I want to see the darker, more moodier version of that movie. But the reason that I've been woken up from my slumber about release the Schumacher cut, I read an article today where they were actually going to show the Schumacher cut at a little theatre, but WB produced a cease and desist. Now, as someone who was brought up in the Hollywood system, my father worked for a studio, and he dragged us from the UK to Hollywood, California when I was a teenager, and I had to go to school in Cali. It was an absolute nightmare and culture shock. I'm shocked to my core that people would actually think that they could show a movie without the permission of the actual studio. I am shocked to my core that was a thing. What did you think was going to happen? And if you want to do something like that, you've got to be secretive about it. You can't go on Twitter promoting it. Now, I get you wanted to get some attention on that situation, but, you were, let's be honest, illegally going to show a studio's movie at a theatre. Now, I don't know the details or what theatre or any of that, but I'm absolutely a supporter of pushing to release the Schumacher cut. I think it's a very, very important campaign. I think we all can agree we're in an era of modern day entertainment, people running it and making movies who really have no idea on how to run the entertainment industry or no interest in running the entertainment industry the way it should be run. And people making movies who are nothing without their CGI, IMAX cameras, and their gadgets and toys. I was thinking as I was watching Superman 78 the other day, how they created the cameras and technology to make that movie. It's amazing. The other day I said, if you take the VFX away from Man of Steel, you don't have a movie. If you take the VFX away from Superman 78, you've still got a charming romantic comedy. So, as much as I love Snyder, by the way, he's all, he's all gadgets and toys at the end of the day. He's very good at using those gadgets and toys. He's probably one of the best, along with people like Denis Villeneuve, etc., etc., etc. But to me, that's not movie making. Movie making is what they did on Superman 78. Movie making to me is Buster Keaton, Harold Lloyd, Laurel and Hardy actually making something with substance that uplifts someone's emotions, whether that's making someone cry or making someone laugh. You know what I mean? So, supporting the Schumacher cut of Batman Forever and movies like that, who, had a studio, had a committee interfere with the integral vision of that movie, is very important. Now, we know the writers of that movie, and, obviously, Joel Schumacher isn't around. So we're really a proxy for Joel Schumacher. So we must represent him. Because don't forget, he has a family out there, and we must be respectful to them. But we must, if we are Joel Schumacher's proxy, we've got to be responsible how we represent his proxy. And to fight in a good way. And from what I can see from the movement of Release the Schumacher Cut, you're really good people, you're really genuine and polite, and you do things the right way, and I want to help you. Now, I'm not a big channel. When I say I'm not a big channel, I barely get 100 views and 3 likes a video. So I'm not really that influential, but I would like to start making more Release the Schumacher content when news comes up about this. Now, I'm quite fortunate today. There's not much news on the DCU. There's nothing much going on in terms of Superman movie news. I think this is the calm before the storm. I think once we come to mid-June, July, it's really going to get rabid out there. There's a lot of divisive opinions on that movie. But I think we can get this movie released. Now, Kevin Smith has been a supporter of this. I'm not sure if Kevin's seen the movie, by the way. I think he has, I'm not sure. But incidents like trying to show the cut in a theatre without the studio's permission, now probably they would never give their permission. That's obvious. But you can understand why they produced a cease and desist order. It's their money, it's their film, and they want to profit from it. You start showing it to people in a cinema or in a theatre, that's people who have seen it, and they're not going to make the money from that. I don't know if people were going to be charged to see this movie, but it's the wrong way to go. But most of the stuff that you guys have been doing to promote Release the Schumacher Cut has been beautiful and pure and kind and done in the way that these things have to be done. Now, I don't see the problem with releasing this movie. It looks like it's done. I don't think there's much needing to be done to the movie. You could release it on Max or HBO Max, as it's going to be called. I think it should be called WB Plus or WB Max, whatever. People don't even know that Warner Brothers have anything to do with that streaming service. It's ridiculous. Now, I won't be able to see it on Max because this crazy streaming situation is that those streaming platforms are not available. So I actually decided to boycott all streaming platforms from January. It was my New Year's resolution. So I unsubscribed from the only streaming platform that I have, there's availability that I have access to here in Cyprus, and that's Netflix. I've had enough of them. The lack of quality is not good enough, and I'm not happy with the kind of stuff that the industry is making today. It lacks quality, it lacks entertainment value, and I'm done with them. I will be going to see Superman, and I will be reviewing that movie. It's Superman, it's DC, it's important to me. That's different. But I think the best way to show this movie would be in cinemas. I think there's money to be made if WB released this in cinemas. but also to release it on physical media. You could just release it on physical media and on Macs at the same time. But they don't do things properly today. Common sense goes out the window when it comes to these situations. It's obvious. Release the movie. It's pretty much ready. You're not hurting anyone. Release the haircut. That's another one I want to see. Just release it. It's ready, basically. Release these cuts of these movies. Release the director's cut of the Flash movie. The good cut, the good version that made absolute sense. Release James Wan's Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. His version, not James Gunn's version. This is one thing that worries me about James Gunn's Superman. If he thinks Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, the version we saw, his version is a great movie, and if that's the kind of movie we're going to get with Superman, then the movie will fail. But we'll have to wait and see about that. But there's no reason not to release the Schumacher cut. It's ready. The fans should be able to see it. I think all cuts like this should be released because you're not making good movies anymore. The era of the CBM, just being successful no matter what you do, is dead. The superhero trend, the comic book movie trend is over. You will see this with Fantastic Four. You will see this with these Avengers movies they're trying to make. They're not going to be successful. I don't believe they will. I don't. Now, Superman is an interesting situation. I think it's got a chance, but who knows what's going to happen with that movie. So I think it's the perfect time to release this movie. Release it next year. Because there's what's coming out next year. I know that all the Avengers movie, but the Avengers movie doesn't come out till next December now. They delayed it, right? There's nothing really going on, I don't think, next December, although I think, or next summer, should I say. I think the Supergirl film's coming out. I look forward to seeing that one as well. But I think next year will be a great time to release this movie, maybe this Christmas. But will they do it? It's interesting, isn't it? What's stopping them? I don't understand. And again, it's James Gunn not wanting anyone to cross over his threshold. He's worried. What if this movie's better than mine? What if people like that movie better than mine? If I keep Superman and Lois going, what if they say, well, that Superman's better than mine? I'll give you a little guess. It probably is, and that's a major reason why he cancelled Superman and Lois. Imagine if he cancelled Smallville at its peak. There would have been riots, wouldn't there now? So a proper studio, a proper system would release the Schumacher cut. There's no reason not to release the Schumacher cut. And if anyone logical was running this industry, running WB, they would release the Schumacher cut. But here's the hard truth. They're not going to release the Schumacher cut anytime soon. Certainly not with idiots like David Zaslav. But there's hope. Like there's hope for maybe one day Superman and Lois coming back, and maybe Alan Miles, the creator of the Smallville idea, to do an animated Smallville series. If James Gunn's Superman fails, there'll be more chance of the release of the Schumacher cut, the release of the development of the Smallville animated series. Because right now, Gunn's in charge. He's got his finger on the chicken switch, and whatever he says goes. And he's so intimidated by other DC stuff made by other people. For example, we heard that they are actually going to make and develop this Constantine 2 movie. That's a Zaslav decision, not a Gunn one. Gunn and Safran didn't want that movie to happen. That's why before they came, it was happening, and when they arrived, it wasn't happening. But I think that Zaslav is worried that Superman's going to fail, and basically he's got Constantine 2 on the subs bench just in case it does. So yeah, I would, and I don't want Superman to fail. I love Superman. I'm 52. This could be the last Superman film I ever see. I want the DCU to succeed. But I think the biggest hope from the Schumacher cut is, if we're being realistic, if we're living in the real world, is, Superman failing and Gunn going bye-bye. I'll tell you what happened. I'll tell you what happens if that happens. basically they won't have. They'll realise that franchises and connective universes simply don't work. And then they'll realise doing standalone movies, getting individual auteurs to make DC movies is a better idea, which means movies like Constantine 2 and director's cuts like Superman Returns, the Air Cut and the Schumacher Cut have got more of a chance of being released.